Let's begin with Act 4, Scene 1 of The Merchant of Venice. This is also known as the courtroom scene. And here we have the Duke, Magnificos. Magnificos are the high officials of the court. Antonio, who is the accused. Shylock has filed a case against him, remember. Bassanio, Antonio's best friend. Graciano, Salerio, who have come all the way from Belmont, and others. So, the Duke. You have seen the Duke earlier, and the Duke had tried his best to convince Shylock not to take a pound of flesh. So here is the Duke, and the Duke says, "What? Is Antonio here?" At that, Antonio says, "Ready. So please your grace." And then the Duke says, "I'm sorry for thee, I'm sorry for you, Antonio. Thou art come to answer a stony adversary." Stony is hard-hearted and adversary is opponent. The stony adversary mentioned here is Shylock, void and empty of any gram of mercy, who has no mercy in him. In other words, "I'm sorry for you, Antonio. You have come to answer a very hard-hearted opponent, that is Shylock." Then, this is what Antonio says. "I have heard your grace hath taken, that you have taken great pains to qualify, to reduce his rigorous course, his stern behavior. But since he stands obdurate, since he is so stubborn, this he is Shylock, and that no lawful means can carry me out of his envy's reach, and that I cannot be taken away from his envy. I cannot be protected from his envy, from his cruelty. I do oppose my patience to his fury." Let me tell you, in this case, in this scene, Antonio remains passive. Antonio has surrendered to his fate, whereas Shylock is full of vitality and he goes on fighting for his rights. Okay. "And I do oppose my patience to his fury." The word fury means anger. "And I am armed, I am prepared to suffer with a quietness of spirit the very tyranny and rage of his." I am prepared to suffer Shylock's tyranny and Shylock's anger. Remember, now the tables have turned. Earlier it was Antonio who would insult Shylock, and today it is Shylock's turn to take revenge. The scene is full of drama, conflict. Let's see what happens next. Duke says, "Go one and call the Jew into the court." At that, Salerio says, "He's ready at the door. He comes, my lord, he's coming." Enter Shylock. Okay. Duke says, "Make room, give him place. Let him stand before our face. Let him stand before me." Shylock, "The world thinks, and I think so too, that thou but leadest this passion of thy malice to the last hour of act, and then 'tis thought thou shalt show mercy and remorse. More strange than is thy strange apparent cruelty." Apparent means what? Appears. So this is what the Duke says. The Duke says, "Shylock, I think, and the entire society thinks, that you will be showing your cruelty against Antonio till the last moment. And the moment when we allow you to take a pound of flesh, you will show your kindness. And your kindness will be even stranger than the cruelty which you are showing at this moment." Of course, the Duke is trying his best to butter and flatter Shylock so that he pardons the life of Antonio. "And where thou now exactest the penalty, which is a pound of this poor merchant's flesh, thou wilt not only lose the forfeiture, thou wilt not only lose the forfeiture, uh, but touched with human gentleness and love, forgive a moiety of the principle. And we also think that you will show great kindness. You will not only you will not only give up your claim on the pound of flesh, but you will also exempt this poor merchant, that is Antonio, from repaying half of the principal. If the principal is 3,000 ducats, then you will ask him to pay only 1,500 ducats. Let's see if Shylock listens to that or not. But the Duke continues, glancing an eye of pity on his losses. You will think of his losses. Remember, all Antonio's ships are wrecked. So Antonio has suffered a great loss, that have of late so huddled on his back, enow to press a royal merchant down. So Antonio has faced so much misfortune. All his ships are wrecked. That is enough to press a royal merchant. A royal merchant means a merchant who was very rich. Okay. And pluck commiseration and have pity of his state, on his state, that is, from brassy bosom and rough hearts of flint, from stubborn Turks and Tatars, never trained to offices of tender courtesy. Remember, people those days did not have cosmopolitan ideas. So what they thought was that only people of their region or of their country could show kindness. Therefore, a European always thought that an Asian was unkind, cruel. And Turks and Tatars were thought to be men who are very stubborn, people who have hearts of stone, and they cannot show you any sort of kindness. So this is what the Duke says. The Duke says that Antonio has faced so much trouble this time with his ships getting wrecked, that even hard-hearted Turks and Tatars, a Central Asian tribe, they who have never learnt what pity is, what love is, they would have felt bad for him. They would have shown him mercy. Therefore, Shylock, I am sure that you will go on pursuing your anger till the last moment. And finally, what will you say? You will say that I forgive Antonio. It's not that I'll just not take a pound of flesh. I'll not even take 1,500 ducats, which was part of the principle, because Antonio has faced such a lot of misfortune. And then he says, even Turks and Tatars would have felt bad for Antonio. And then the Duke pauses for an answer and says, we all expect a gentle answer, Duke. We all expect a kind answer from you. In my next video, we will see whether Shylock gives them a kind answer or not. Thank you.